Work is funny. There's something strange about the way we talk about leadership in the workplace, right? In most workplaces, we celebrate innovation and collaboration and fresh ideas and thinking. And then we turn around and we build systems that guarantee the exact opposite. We say we want creativity, but we structure rewards so that people cling to safety. We say we want teamwork, but then we rank people like they're contestants on a reality show. We say we want trust, but we accidentally incentivize self-preservation.
Hey, hey, tell me more.
You know, no story captures that tension better than the one that played out at Microsoft when Satya Nadella took over as CEO. At the time that he took over for Steve Ballmer, the guy you might know from Clippers games, dancing all wild, Microsoft was still powerful, still a household name, but its culture had drifted to this place where being the smartest person in the room mattered more than building the smartest team. Competition wasn't just a byproduct of ambition, it was baked directly into organizational design. Microsoft practiced this system known as stacked ranking. This was made popular by Jack Welch, who basically took GE and turned GE into one of the most powerful companies in this country's history. And because of what he did with General Electric, he became the model for how a lot of people played out their leadership. So Jack Welch comes up with this idea of stacked ranking, meaning you are stacked against your colleagues. When it comes to performance reviews, that means someone is always going to be on the bottom, not because they were less competent or less good, but simply because that is how the numbers played out. It was a system that required losers. And when a structure demands that sort of outcome, people stop thinking about what's best for the organization and they start thinking about what is best for survival. This very system leads to self-preservation. People focus on survival, and therefore they're not producing the best work for the team, they're producing the best work for themselves. What you also get in that is you get a lot of inter-office fighting. Now people are stealing ideas, they're stepping on each other so that they can look better. It is not an environment that produces collaboration. If you've ever worked in a system like this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People start hoarding resources instead of sharing them because sharing makes you vulnerable. People don't offer help because helping someone else might mean they might elevate above you. Managers who steal credit for ideas and the labor of their subordinates. I have had managers who would come into a project that I was working on at the 11th hour and pull rank and now take credit for the entire thing. But worst of all, is people stop bringing their best, their boldest, their strangest, their riskiest ideas because the only goal now is to avoid being the person who gets blamed when something goes wrong. If I'm bringing a risky idea, a weird idea, if I'm bringing something that might fail, it's a wrap for me. I'm now ranked on the bottom. I might get cut, might get a smaller bonus. This might impact my ability to feed my family. See, in environments like that, the air feels different, doesn't it? People walk around with the tightness of someone who feels like work is just one big test that they're failing. That work is one big test they don't know how to pass. Team meetings are more like performance auditions. Credit shifts mysteriously to whoever has the loudest voice in the room and the sharpest elbows. Blame floats downstream to whoever isn't in the room to defend themselves. And I experienced this at my first job in finance. I wasn't good at the job, okay? I can admit that, some 20 years later. But one day, I got blamed for something that happened on the day that I was off. I wasn't even in the room, but because I wasn't in the room, I became the reliable scapegoat. And I had enough instances of messing up where no one was gonna question it. You get an environment like this, no one's truly collaborating. What they're really doing is they're cautiously orbiting each other like it's the Hunger Games, waiting for the right moment to strike. So maybe you get efficiency and you get short-term output, but innovation? There's no way you're getting innovation. People trying to survive and are stepping on each other to do so cannot think about being innovative. They can only think about surviving this moment. And this is the Microsoft that Nadella inherited. This is the Microsoft that he was stepping into and hoping to lead. And he faced the question that many leaders everywhere face is, how do you transform a culture like that? How do you take people who've been trained to compete with each other and now teach them to think together again, to be partners, to be collaborators? Nadella's answer wasn't complicated. It was profoundly simple. Actually, it was build a learning culture. And while the answer is simple, it is not easy to implement. But a learning culture shifts the foundation. Instead of asking who's winning, it's asking, what are we discovering here? Instead of measuring who is outperforming whom, it measures whether the team is expanding its capacity to experiment and grow. A learning culture treats exploration, this messy phase of just trying new things, as just as valuable as exploitation, the phase in which you refine and scale to see what works. But if you're going to make exploration possible, you have to do something that feels terrifying for a lot of leaders. And that's normalize failure. A lot of leaders are uncomfortable with the concept of failure. But I'm not talking about failure as laziness or incompetence, which I have been guilty of, but failure as evidence of a genuine attempt, failure as the debris of experimentation, failure as the necessary friction of learning. You see, this culture we currently have that we're raising kids in, that they need to be perfect and have a 4.0 or 4.2. I know a kid who has a 4.6. This culture that we're raising them in, that they must always succeed, produces a sort of anxiety in them that says, I can't fail, I can't get things wrong. But anyone will tell you that we learn more from failure than we do from success. Failure not only teaches you what doesn't work or what didn't go right, it teaches you, where do I have room to improve? If all you've ever gotten are A's, if all you've ever done is one, if all you have are gold medals, at some point you're gonna run up against a wall that you don't know how to run through because you have not experienced failure and what it looks like to rebuild from that, to learn from it, and retool. So when Nadella scrapped that stacked ranking system, he instantly removed the fear that taking a risk might lead to you being on the bottom. Now, if your job survival depends on flawless performance, you'll never try something untested. But if your leader says, I want to see what you can learn, not just what you already know, the entire atmosphere changes. Suddenly we can put forth half-baked ideas. Suddenly we can ask more questions. We can make the unexpected connections. We can take creative swings because now I know that failure is not only okay, it is encouraged. Here's the struggle for a lot of leaders, the quiet part that they don't want to say out loud. Encouraging failure is hard because your team's performance often feels like a reflection on your own value. If you're a middle manager, you may feel as though your job depends on your team looking good. And if you're a middle manager and you feel that way, then you're going to do everything you can to make sure failure is not only an option, but that it doesn't happen. If you're a senior leader, you might feel pressure from the board to deliver predictable returns. Risk is uncomfortable at every level because all of us are operating under our own version of stacked ranking, whether it is spoken or unspoken. But here's the thing, and this is my message specifically for you leaders, you senior leaders out there. Culture always trickles down. If you are anxious and rigid, your team becomes anxious and rigid. If you cling to perfection, then your team will cling to perfection. If you signal, even unintentionally, that mistakes are unacceptable, your people will do everything they can to bury and hide them. They will avoid making mistakes at all costs because at the end of the day, as you go, the team goes. The nature of culture is simply an amplification of what is happening at the top. So if I'm telling you that you need to be on time to every meeting, but I'm 15 minutes late, I've set the standard. This is why intentional leadership matters. Middle managers need to advocate upward, articulating why experimentation isn't just indulgent, but it's strategic. Senior leaders must create a psychologically safe space for their teams. Boards and executives need to replace outdated metrics of individual heroics with metrics of collective progress. Innovation doesn't begin with ideas. Innovation begins with permission. Innovation starts the moment we say it is okay to fail. And not only is it okay, we encourage it because we want to see you be the best version of yourself. Now, you can choose not to be innovative. Well within your rights. But let me tell you what the opposite culture does. It slowly drifts you into stagnation. See, you can only run on past success for so long. It doesn't last forever. And if you don't believe me, ask AOL, Blockbuster, BlackBerry, all of these business school case studies that we love to go through. Because what they did was they rested on their laurels. They thought past success was an indicator of future success, only to find out that it wasn't. Each of those companies had a moment where collaboration and experimentation and innovation could have saved them. Each of those companies had a moment where they could have stretched themselves beyond what they know to see who they could possibly be, but instead, they chose to sit in the success they already had and watch as the future drifted on by. Microsoft could have been next. That could have been Microsoft's story. The world was shifting towards mobile and cloud computing, and they weren't positioned to compete. But Nadella's emphasis on learning and collaboration didn't just heal the internal culture, it repositioned Microsoft to adapt. And boy, did it adapt. Because now Microsoft is a $3 trillion force in tech that doesn't care for nostalgia, but is constantly looking towards innovation and the future. My lesson for you is not to be Satya Nadella. I think he's a special person in a special time in a special place. The lesson is much more practical. Collaboration beats internal competition every single time. At the end of the day, this isn't about being nice or kind. This is about being smart. A team that learns together solves problems faster. A team that shares information creates leverage. A team that trusts each other builds ideas that no single person can make alone. You might think you are the boy genius, but everyone has their limits. You want innovation? Give your people room to try things that might fail. If you want collaboration, remove systems that require colleagues to look at each other as opponents. If you want resilience, reward collective breakthroughs instead of isolated victories. The real competitors are always outside of your organization, not inside of it. But if I'm looking at this person that I'm supposed to lock arms with and accomplish something with as an enemy as well, how much will we ever really do? Success goes to teams who understand the simple truth that we are here to work together. So we learn together and we grow together. The work is now in figuring out how that shapes your leadership, how that shapes your team, your corner, your workplace. You might be on the bottom rung right now. You might be in middle management. You might be a senior leader watching this video. At the end of the day, wherever you are, whatever your sphere of influence might be, you can build a culture of learning. You can build a culture of psychological safety. And even if it only impacts one small portion of the team, watch the results that come from that. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself, CJ, this is all too much, and I'm just gonna keep pitting these people against each other because it has produced results. Keep going. I think it'll work short term. We've seen that happen, but your turnover rate will be high. You'll build a reputation for yourself, and people will not want to come work with you. You won't get the best and the brightest in a culture like that. You'll get the people who are desperate. I graduated from college in 2009 at the height of the financial crisis, looking for a job in finance, and I landed at the place that was affectionately nicknamed where careers go to die. Is that the reputation you want for yourself? Or do you want to be a leader who creates a psychologically safe space, who encourages a learning culture, who pursues exploration over exploitation? Let me help you do that. I'm taking on clients. Come join the team. Or not, because what do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.